Hello, receiving teachers, receiving students, and 7Es.
Hello, Mr. Kumo.
Thank you. Sit down. Receiving students and 7Es, let's look at what you have done in your previous lesson. I've asked you to complete the exercises, especially exercise 1. Today we are going to correct exercise 1D together. So I would like you to check your book. As soon as we go through the steps, please you cross-check if you have done the correct working out. With that, I would like all of you to look at the screen now. I will explain the working out on the screen. Here is the exercise 1D on the screen. Firstly, we are going to calculate negative 2.6 minus 1.7. Now, you cross-check your working out and see if you have done the following step. Step number 1. You were to write the question. When you were to write the question, this is what you should have written. Negative 2.6 in brackets, subtract 1.7. Or you should have written negative 2.6 in brackets, subtract in brackets positive 1.7. That's the first step. The second step, you have to change addition of the opposite, meaning that the minus sign and the positive sign will be changed. They are circled with a orange color there. Those two signs will be changed. Now, once they are changed, this is how the question will look like. Negative 2.6 in brackets plus in brackets negative 1.7. And then thirdly, you are going to calculate the question or the expression. Now, before you calculate the expression, you should do these following things. Check if the signs are the same or different. In this case, class, are the signs same or different?
Same.
Okay, the signs are same and they are circled with a red color. You are saying they are same, so if the signs are the same, you add straight away and then you keep the sign. So when you are adding, you are doing a long addition, and this is what it should look like. Okay? And after that, you should get your answer. Now, what is the final step? Final step is as soon as you do the long addition, you get your answer written out like that. And finally, step number 4, you estimate. When you are estimating, you check the answer by using estimating, or you round off the decimal numbers to whole number. So 2.6, negative 2.6 becomes what? Negative 3, and 1.7 becomes 2. So negative 3 subtract 2 is equals to negative 5. So negative 4.3 is closely to negative 5. So you are just checking with the whole numbers. Okay? 7Es and receiving students, do you all agree? Do you all agree to the steps that we've gone through? Thank you. Now, those are the necessary steps you should be using. If you happen to understand the steps well, then it will be very easy for you to calculate directed numbers, especially when you are subtracting decimals. Is that clear, 7Es and receiving students? Don't forget your steps. You have to follow the steps in order to get the correct answer. Now, for today's lesson, we are going to move on to a new topic, and it will be on multiplication of integers. Multiplication of integers. 70s and receiving students, you all know what integers are. And this time we are going to multiply integers. Again, let's look at what integers are. Can somebody tell me what integers are? What are integers? Receiving students, 70s. What are integers? Yes. Demas. Sorry, Clement. What are integers?
Integers are all number.
Very good. Integers are known as a positive or a negative number, which is whole number. It's not a decimal number, it's not a fraction number, but it's a whole negative or positive number. Is that clear, receiving students in 70s? Now, we are going to multiply those numbers now. Okay. On the screen, I have an example exercise for you. Before we go on to the exercise, let's look at the learning activity. The learning activity is when we are trying to multiply integers, there must be a rule that we have to follow. And the rule are as follows. Listen very carefully. When you are multiplying integers, there are 4 rules that you are going to follow. The first one, when you are multiplying a positive integer with a positive integer, the answer is always positive. Second rule, when you are multiplying 2 negative integers, the answer is always positive. When you are multiplying a positive integer and a negative integer, the answer is always negative. And finally, when you are multiplying a negative integer and a positive integer, the answer is always a negative again. 70s and receiving students, please take note of the rules of multiplying integers. Receiving teacher, you can also take note of the rules for the students. Now, class, we are going to use this rule to calculate this exercise here. Example 1. We are going to evaluate negative 5 times positive 2. Step number 1. 70s and receiving students. Step number 1, you are going to write the question down. So, negative 5 times positive 2. What do you think step number 2 will be? And step number 3. I will give you a few minutes to work out the other steps that you are going to follow to come to an answer. Okay? Remember, you don't have to shortcut and get the answer straight off. You are going to follow steps in order to come to the answer. If you follow the steps carefully, then your answer will be correct. So I've given you the first step, and I would like you to identify the second and the third step involved. Is that clear, receiving students and 70s? Okay. You can work in your groups to identify those steps and also come up with the answer. You can start now. Class, remember the rules. You are going to use the rule to work out the answer for that expression on the screen. If you are finished, if your group has finished, all put your hands on your head and that will show me that your group has finished. We discuss the steps. Alan's group finish? Good. If your group has finished, raise your hand. All hands up. Okay, good. Receiving students, if you are finished, you do the same. Raise your hand and your teacher will check if you are finished. 7 is all finished? Okay, receiving students and 7 is. Let's go through the steps together to find the answer. All sit up straight, look at the screen. 7 is and receiving students, what will be the second step? Colin, what do you think the second step will be?
Apply the rule of multiplication of integers.
Okay, Colin says apply the rule of multiplication of integers. So, Colin, which rule are we going to apply?
Negative and positive.
Very good. Okay, 7 is, look at the screen, receiving students. Step number 2, Colin was right by saying use the rule of multiplication of integers. But before you use the rule, this is what you have to think of. You check the signs of the numbers, then you apply the rule. You check the signs of the numbers. The signs are on the expression circled in red. You check those two signs. When you check those two signs, right now, those two signs are what? Negative and positive. Negative multiplying a positive integer. Is that clear? So, if in that case, the third one, the rule we are going to use is negative times positive is equals to negative. Automatically, you will know that your answer must be negative. So, when you multiply negative 5 times positive 2, your answer will be negative 10. 70s and receiving students, do you understand how to use the rule for multiplying integers now?
Yes.
And not only the rule, but the steps as well?
Yes.
Okay. Again, let's go through the steps. Step number 1, you are going to write the question. Step number 2, apply the rule. But before you apply the rule, you check the signs. You check the signs, and then when you identify the signs used in the expression, then you apply the rule. And finally, you multiply across using the rule, and you get your answer. 70s and receiving students, do you understand the rule and the steps now?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, to do more practice, on the screen, I've got 3 exercises for you. To the receiving teacher and receiving students, the reference is also on the screen. It's on the students' worksheet, exercise 1A to C, page 52. Again, receiving students and 7Es, I would like you to work in your small groups to work out A, B, and C using the rule for multiplying integers. You can start now. Okay, to the receiving teacher, as soon as your students are finished, you can select any student from a group and ask Imoe to go to the front and show you the working out. And also, during the correction time, he or she can explain how they got the answers. 7 is, we are going to do the same. I'm going to select 3 students from any group to come up and show their working out. So we'll have 1 student for exercise A. Tony, you. Another student, Ruthie, you do exercise B. And last one. Florence, thank you. Come up to the front and show your working out. And you will explain to your friends how you got your answer. While the others, you sit down and you cross-check your working out with the 3 students on the board. Receiving students, you can do the same as well. Florence, quickly. Tony, come up to the front. And Ruthie. Florence. Ruthie. Seven is, you should be checking your work with your friends. Seven is and receiving students, let's check our friends' work on the board. Look at the whiteboard. Exercise A. Do you agree with Tony's group answer?
Yes.
Very good. The answer is negative 10. So they use the rule, what? Positive times negative is equals to negative. That's the rule applied. Can you see that? Okay, good. And exercise B, Ruthie's group, are they correct?
Yes.
Negative 6 times positive 3 is equals to negative 18. So what rule is applied? Negative times positive is equals to negative. Good. And last one, Florence, her group. Negative 5 times negative 5, the answer will be positive 25. So the rule applied is negative times negative is equals to positive. 7 is and receiving students, give yourself 5 big claps for your hard work in doing the 3 exercise correctly. Thank you. Students, now 7 is and receiving students, do you still remember the rules?
Yes.
What is the first rule? First rule. No, that's the step. I'm asking for the rule. The first rule. Positive times positive is equals to positive. Very good. Second one. Negative times negative is equals to positive. Third one.
Negative times positive equals to negative.
Fourth one.
Positive times negative equals to negative.
Very good. Now, to sum up, on the screen, I have the rule again for you. you cross-check the rule that you wrote down with the rule on the screen. 70s and receiving students, you should be following this rule whenever you are multiplying integers. This rule is very important to be applied in calculating, especially multiplying integers. With that, class, our key phrase for today's lesson is multiplication of integers, and our next lesson will be directed number operations multiplying fractions. Thank you very much, 70s receiving students and teachers, for your participation in today's lesson.
You are